Your facilitator will be doing an awful lot of work to make sure that every place you visit is set against the context of what's happening in terms of globalization. And of course, work-based learning, because so much change is occurring that as quickly as somebody learns any kind of program, then they have to relearn it because something new is happening. So globalization is the context against which the facilitator leads all of these tours. And then whatever the company is, without exception, they are dealing with constant change, globalization by any other name. So there were plenty of places where we went that we discovered almost our own time capsules, because in one case they had started with World War II equipment that as it broke, they just pushed to the back because they needed less and less space for more and more modern equipment. And as they pushed back the World War II, completely mechanical devices, and then began to work with the 60s and 70s equipment that was a little bit more hydraulically powered, electrically powered, but that was failing. By then, they were starting to introduce computers and numerically controlled machines, so they just pushed that to the back of the room because they needed less space. And ultimately, when we went in to visit, it was completely robotically controlled. The people that were there really managed a logistics process of keeping the front end and the back end loaded. And you could see in the dark this massive, it was several acres under roof, but they were no longer using the rest of it, but they owned the building. You could see from World War II up to the present all of that old equipment that was now just not stored, just pushed back. So it was very interesting to see that kind of thing going on, and that took place obviously over a 50-year period. Conversely, we went to a high-tech company 1 year that had done very well during the boom and was the darling of the state, had grown from 0 to about 2,500 employees in about 2.5 years. So we went to visit them, had a tremendous visit, found them occupying one of those big bubble structures out in their parking lot because they had to build it so quickly because they were growing so quickly. Well, of course, when the internet bubble burst, that company went out of business. So we went back to the bubble building the next year, empty, cavernous, echoing, and then had an appreciation of how time is actually working differently under globalization's rules too, because over here in manufacturing, maybe it took 50 years to go from an analog to a completely digital controlled process, yet here in the new age, we start a company, ramp it up to thousands of employees, and then the company collapses in a period of about 5 years. And so we toured that cavernous place, and the teachers reported just the absolute fear they felt to think that thousands of people were working there and now they were all out of business. So all this talk about layoffs, which is often in the thousands, if not tens of thousands, really comes home to roost when you can go to a place and find all the empty desks, all the empty computers, and the folks are gone. And not only are they gone, but the business is gone. It's moved overseas, or in fact is no longer necessary because so much more is automated on the web. So every place we went, and I would hope for you, if I hope anything for you and the participants in this program, every place we went provided not only its own learning, but its own unique character of learning. We learned something new every time, and then felt that we learned even more about how change is operating in the modern world, and how globalization is something that on the one hand, it certainly has to be respected. A lot of people fear this constant change, but when we were looking under the hood, as it were, a lot of these places, we came to really appreciate just how much people not only can, but do retool themselves to prepare for that next career, because we've all been talking about it. People these days will have 5, 6, 7 careers, and they don't understand how that's going to happen. But when we went into any of these places and found the pie manufacturer who used to be a jet engine mechanic and found out that he invented all of the equipment he needed to make pies, we began to get some tremendous insight into how people's careers can apparently change from being a jet engine mechanic to now being a baker of pies, but then be able to decompose that change and realize, they took more and more of those transferable skills and built out into a new future that for the most part only they knew, but with this real entrepreneurial commitment to understanding who they were, what they did best, then they were able to find and discover and build what that new future was going to be. I certainly look forward to hearing more about the Building Bridges program out there in Binghamton. I look forward to seeing you again next year, hopefully in person, because I don't have any more daughters to marry. So thank you very much. Good luck today.